Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to part 21 of What If Dale Survived the Remake. Hope you guys liked the last episode and the entrance into the flashback of how Daryl and several others survived, and what actually happened to the other people that weren't on the roster in the last episode. This is going to cover the rest of the flashback and tying into the present. So, let's dive in. But before we do, did you guys know that physicists and scientists and everyone around the world who is a smart person, me, believe that there are two or more alternate realities, but mainly two. One in which you subscribe to the Next Topics YouTube channel, and one in which you don't. Now, these two are very interesting to think about, so let's set the scene for these two particular worlds. If you don't subscribe to Next Topics YouTube channel, you will be spit on by Deborah the Demon King and turned into a stone statue, never to be reformed again, and even risk being broken if Deborah isn't killed. Yeah, that's right. You don't want to get spit on, let alone have it turn into a statue. But if you do subscribe, you will be given the opportunity of a lifetime to get the magic lamp with the genie from Aladdin to give you 3 wishes, except you can't kill anybody, you can't fall in love with anybody else, and you can't bring anybody back from the dead. I don't know why I'm explaining that, but anyways, if I were a betting man and a guy who knew how to make smart choices, which I am, I would hit that subscribe button so I can get my free genie in a lamp and get those 3 wishes, even if, there are crutches to the wishes. But hey, Shenron has crutches, so why not? Anyways, I'd hit the subscribe button, and let's get into the story. Now, as we touched base upon last episode, Glenn and Sasha were taken by the hospital group, and Daryl, Tyrese, Maggie, Dale, and Michonne are all going to rescue them. Meanwhile, Glenn and Sasha get to meet Dawn, like Beth meets Dawn, and it pretty much goes the same except it's 2 people. I mean, Beth and Carol got kidnapped, except it was way later times. Here, Glenn and Sasha got kidnapped at the same time. So, they both get a feel for the place, and then get to meet that pervy officer who, tried to assault Beth. So, he would go after Sasha, most likely, which this would be a David situation. The characters in The Walking Dead just cannot get a break from these kinds of people, right? Anyways, they get a feel for the place, even that, and get to meet Noah, along with the fact that Noah has a plan for how they can get out of here, because he knows they want to get out of here. So does he. So, ultimately, with the help of Noah, they begin to formulate a plan to get the F out of Dodge and escape the hospital. And with 2 much smarter people than Beth, no offense to her character, able to work with Noah, they would actually get out a lot sooner. Keep in mind you, this is sooner than when Beth got kidnapped in the canon storyline. Not too much sooner, maybe by a few episodes, maybe even a decent few episodes, but point being, they actually escape and get to see Daryl, Tyrese, and all those other people that I mentioned, and they get to see them again. But right as they're running towards them, and Daryl and them approach the hospital, the cliffhanger from last episode, Amanda Shepard, Bob, and all those other officers literally come out of bloody nowhere, like they did with Beth and Noah, and surround them. But the officers are more or less outnumbered. But not in the case of real emergency, because, there's a one-armed lady and an old man, Dale and Michonne, so it's not real. It doesn't matter. Either way, it doesn't look good for either party. But Dale says they don't have to hurt anybody, and that they just came here to get their people back. Maybe if they could talk with the leader here, whatever her name is, which figures out is Dawn, Dale says maybe if they can talk to this lead officer, Dawn, maybe they could just get their people back and be on their merry way. Nobody has to get hurt. And as the officers can plainly see, they haven't had it easy, at all. Amanda Shepard being the nicest officer out of all of them, in my opinion, and I made her a very important character in What If the Governor Met Negan Remake. She agrees to this, but she says it's not going to be easy whenever it comes to Dawn. She is not easy to negotiate with, and she wants to make sure that Dale and everybody else here, if there even is a leader, know what they're doing. Dale says, well, even if she's hard to talk to, it's a risk that he at least is willing to take to get their people back. They've been through way too much. And Daryl says they should just stick to the original plan that they had and just kill everyone here and just get their people back by force. If there's really going to be a problem with this officer, Dawn, maybe they should just end them all right now. He is definitely tired of the group literally surviving through bloody torture and half their people dying to have this happen to them. But Dale says, like I said, it's a risk that he's willing to take. Soon enough, Dawn comes out in the meeting room wherever Rick and Dawn made the trade and everything, that room, like literally the main hall. And Dale speaks out in turn for everybody, saying that they're just here because they heard that two of their group, Glenn and Sasha, were kidnapped. He doesn't mean anything for, like, hurting Dawn or anybody here. It's a hospital, especially the officers. All he wants, as Dawn can see, he points to everybody, including himself, they've been through too much to not be with each other anymore. And while they would like to be here, who knows how long this place will even go, and he wants to find everybody else, because he knows there's more people out there. So, he just wants the people back that were kidnapped here. Whatever the reason, as long as they're okay, and they make a cohesive trade, nothing needs to happen. And he knows that many of Dawn's group might be hostile, including his own, but as long as they just make a common agreement, everything should remain okay. And like he said, as Dawn can see, they've already been through a lot. And even if she could treat them or something, that would even be a greater gesture. But the main goal overall is for them to just get their people back. That's the be-all, end-all. And Dawn, unlike Rick or Beth, really, or Daryl, sees Dale as a truly honest man. And honestly agrees to this. This is a very good deal. This would be very against Dawn's character, but for Dale, very with her character. But she says that she still wants Noah to stay. And Daryl says that after Noah talked to them and everything and saved Glenn and Sasha, Daryl, like his canon counterpart, just states, no, he ain't staying. And then Dawn would go, like her canon counterparts, and say that Noah is one of her people and they have no claim on him. But Michonne speaks up, one-armed Michonne, mind you, and takes the place of Rick, saying that they know that now, after Noah saved Glenn and Sasha, him talking to them, and a little bit of talk before they came in here, that Noah wants to go home. So that means that she has no claim on him. So, yeah. After seeing Michonne and having people stand against him, against her, after having this deal, like, you know, so good and organized from Dale's perspective, she's like, why should I listen to you guys now? Especially some one-armed lady who acts like she's all in charge. She probably could cripple over any minute now. And even though Michonne's literally not in any kind of good position to put up a fight, she doesn't take this lightly and is literally angry at the point she wants to attack and begins to step up. But Dawn points her gun and is like, if you want to get hostile after we literally were just about to make a deal, all I want is Noah. You take another step and the deal is literally null and void. And Daryl then, very against like what would actually happen here, but very good for in the moment, would say just what his season 11 counterpart from the canon side says to Pamela. And saying that Dawn built this place to be like the old world, and that was the problem. Dawn then goes on to say that they know that people are out there. They just have to wait it out and do the best that they can here. And Noah has been very handy for that. And for these people to just take him, no matter the cause, she, at this point, would like their help. They're out there they are nothing and would say most of what she said to Beth. But Daryl says, no, there is no one coming for them. The world is empty. And how they are and what's already happened, that should be a dead giveaway. And they've got one enemy. They ain't the Walking Dead. And even though this would be many seasons early in very much different context, this would be a very in-character line for the moment. Dale says that, once again, while they want to make a good deal, Dawn needs to be more reasonable and just let Noah go. Because even if Dawn believes that there are people out there, which he doesn't want to believe that the world is truly ugly either, even after all that's happened, he stands by Dawn for the most part. He just thinks that Dawn needs to be more, on point with her directive and how she leads. Dawn, even though this would anger her, she still knows Dale in this moment to be just an honest man and wants to accept the terms. And she even says to Dale, I get where you're coming from. Dale, is it? And I agree that this is a good deal. But know what? I still need him. As I feel all the people here do. Like I said, the deal stands as long as Noah stays or you people can stay here. You're much better off. But I'm not going to take orders from a redneck and a one-armed lady who looks like she's about to keel over and die. And at this point, Michonne, whatever patience she has, just rolls back in the back of her mind, and all she can see is the governor killing everybody and this girl being just like him, and rushes forward to attack. But Daryl yells out, "Don't do it! You're not going to do anything other than kill yourself!" But Michonne ain't listening. She's rushing forward, and Dawn, literally now at this point, she's like, no, I tried to warn her, tried to warn them. Now, someone has to die. But Dale, he still believes in the deal and doesn't want anyone to die. And Michonne is just making a killer mistake. And after surviving, she doesn't deserve this. And Dale pushes Michonne out of the way and against the wall. And when the bullet fires from Dawn, it doesn't fire at Michonne, but it fires at Dale, right near the tip of his shoulder, like on the back mostly. So he had already been shot previously in the side, near his arm, and now the back of his arm. So his arm, if he were to recover from this, would be almost inactive, and that's going to play a major part later on. But people, and even Dawn, Dale is unconscious now from being shot and not recovered. So Dale, literally to everyone, and even to the storyline's perspective, literally is very close to death's door. But they just think that he's dead. But I'll tell you right now, after nearly killing him off and everybody else, he is near death's door, but he's not. For Michonne, remember what Beth did to Dawn? Well, after this happens and Michonne regains herself, she pulls together all of her strength, because one-handed Michonne, mind you, and she's very, very weak, especially after getting pushed against a wall, even if it was just Dale and he's an old man, is just fed up at this point. So she tries to replicate what Beth did to Dawn, but she doesn't even get close. She gets shot fatally. And this is the end of Michonne. Dale is on the ground literally several feet from her. And Michonne is definitely dead. But Dale, he is not dead, but he is very, 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 very close. Like literally, especially because he's an old man. From getting shot twice and the crap that Dale's gone through, he'll be in the story later. He is not going to be the same. Straight after Dale and Michonne are both to the ground, Daryl, out of nowhere, is just like, you know what? Screw the deal. We're going with my plan. And shoots Dawn just like his canon counterpart. So 2 dubs for Daryl for the Dawn situation. And afterwards, Amanda is like, I didn't want this, and I warned you people about what would happen, but it was only ever about her. You guys can stay here, like she said. You don't have to go out there, especially with 2 people now gone from your much larger group from before. But Daryl says that no, he wants nothing to do with this place, and they're going to do and honor what Dale and Michonne wanted, to find the rest of their people. And Michonne and Dale are lying on the ground. Dale inching very, very close and beginning to accept that he might just die, but Michonne, she's already dead. I know I'm really hinting at Dale surviving, but I can't really do it any other way, but it doesn't mean that he's going to survive the same way. Daryl, he doesn't know what to do at this point. And Glenn, he just says to Daryl, they need to stick with what Daryl said after all this. Find the people that they lost. And especially to honor Dale and Michonne. Dale most of all because he mattered a lot to Glenn. And none of them think that Dale's alive. And because he really is not in a situation where he should be alive. He's like barely alive, still clinging to life. And Glenn is just thinking about this nonstop. Even if they think there are more survivors, Glenn just cannot stop thinking about Dale. And whether or not he might just be dead. But everyone knows Michonne is at this point. So I'd leave it to the group maybe thinking that Dale maybe lived, but from everyone's perspective, Dale is dead in this story, like for good. But we don't know that yet. For all we know, he could survive, end up being a freaking cyborg, but I ain't gonna say anything yet. Maggie just goes to comfort Glenn when Daryl spots something out of the corner of his eye from the way distance of Atlanta. He sees, up in the sky, which they never paid attention to, unless it just appeared, a gigantic, huge cloud of black smoke, getting slowly bigger by the second, and rising from the distance in the sky. And then, Daryl looks closer beyond and sees something else. A second big black cloud of smoke, kind of smaller, but almost equal in size. And these aren't too far from each other. They could be beacons. And Daryl's like, he points this out to everybody who's still mourning at the fact that Glenn or Michonne and Dale are freaking on the ground and they had to leave them and everything, what they've just experienced. And Glenn's like, no, that can't be a coincidence. That must be a signal for more people being alive. And they all book it towards the smoke, unaware of what's happened in both places. They go for the closest area in which the first cloud of smoke that Daryl saw originated. And once they get into the place, it's not even that far from where they were. It's still in Atlanta. And they turn the bend of where the smoke was coming from to see Rick, Morgan, a burning building, and several other people around a big, gigantic apartment on fire with traps and just complete and total mayhem all around the area. And that's where it ties in to Rick almost leaving and Daryl and everybody else surprising Rick. And that's the second end and the final end to this flashback of how the group came to be back with Rick and how Michonne and Dale, Michonne lost her life, and Dale, do you think that he is still alive? Or do you think that if he is alive, he'll never be the same again? And that's how it ties into the red eye and the shotgun arm. And what will happen with Rick now that he knows more people are alive and Daryl and them are back? And that's where we leave things for the moment. Hope that you guys liked this episode. Sorry if there was way too many obvious signs that Dale was going to be alive, but after literally killing him and mostly a bunch of other people off, and then bringing a bunch of people back, I kind of had no other choice but to tell you that Dale was going to literally come back somehow again. And plus, I hinted that he was just shot in the back of his shoulder. So that should be enough of an obvious giveaway in of itself. But I hope you guys enjoyed this part nonetheless. There'll definitely be way more to add on, if that wasn't already obvious. And I'll see you guys next time.